right-hand side. Can you guys see that picture? Yes, sir. Perfect. So these are the 5-star tips we were referring to earlier. We stopped on the part where we were talking about having a pregnant pause. And what you're looking at on the right-hand side is a kit that we put together at the beginning of this year before the coronavirus took off. And what you're going to notice is the ring light in the back. A lot of times people, when they're doing the WebEx, their face is kind of dark. So that ring light is going to make sure that your face is nice and bright. And what you're going to notice is behind me, I have a whiteboard. And later on, I'm going to show you guys how we use the whiteboard effectively. And then you're going to see those other two, the other two bright lights. The reason I have those lights is because in many cases, if a person doing a WebEx, maybe you're just doing a virtual WebEx so you can connect face-to-face with your client. But once you start bringing in props and maybe bringing in a whiteboard, not only do you have to light yourself, but you also have to light the things that are around you. We stopped at point 5. We did, focus on the camera. That's very important. Use annotations frequently. Some programs have the ability to annotate, and some programs aren't going to have the ability to annotate. Asking open-ended questions, using a simple duplicatable process. We're going to share one with you guys. We call it our 60-second close, and it's worked for us for years in person and also virtually. Smiling when you pause, having those pregnant pauses. When you pause and you're looking at the client, or you're looking at the camera, the client feels like you're looking at them. The 6th point was using those facial expressions. And why is that important? In many cases, if you're sitting across from a person, maybe you could interject based upon what they're saying. But they're talking to you, and if your face is stale, and there's no emotion, there's no movement, they don't know if you really understand or if you disagree. And sometimes if there's a delay in the audio or a delay in the video, you will find yourself talking over each other. So by using your facial expressions, it's a nonverbal way to let the client know that I'm with you. Or that's not quite what we're talking about. And it allows you to steer the conversation. The 7th point that we use is setting an external timer to make sure you're keeping your meeting on track. The 8th point is, ask the attendees, depending on the platform and depending on the person, to join the meeting ahead of time so that you can make sure there are no tech issues. So as you flow into the meeting will flow as it needs to. Some of your older clients may need a little help logging on. Do I download this program? Do I not download the program? In most cases, you're not going to have to download the program because most of the platforms today, as long as the person's device has the ability or has internet access, then they should be good to go. The 10th point was one that I learned the hard way. The 9th point was one that I learned the hard way. Keeping control of your audio and your video for your calls. If you're having a call with a group, you may want to make sure you know how to mute everyone and unmute selected individuals because somebody may join the call later on, and if you don't have it locked on the speaker, then that person's dog or them ruffling their papers can distract the other individuals that are plugged into the call. And there was one time I had my video on, and it was embarrassing for me, but it was also embarrassing for the other person because some people don't realize their cameras are on, and they may be doing something off screen that may not necessarily be appropriate that they want other people to see. The other thing is, and this happened to me a few times, I would have my one screen that I'm using, and my email would pop up, and it may say something. And after a while, it stopped distracting me because I'm used to it. But if you're meeting with your client, you may not want a certain email to pop up with a title that may distract your client and pull away from the information that you're trying to deliver at that moment. The 11th point was one that we just recently, during the coronavirus, really started to implement. Stand up if you can. And this may take a lot of effort on your part to rework your office space. But if you're going to be the main speaker, and maybe you're talking to a group of individuals like I'm talking to you all today, I can sit down, but it's something about standing up, that your voice is different. The way that people receive the information is different, and it allows you to carry that message a lot further. Then, asking the attendees to lock on speaker. Once again, if they don't lock on speaker, I had a meeting where we had about 25 attendees, and it kept bouncing around, and people said, Charles, you were trying to show me something I couldn't really see because it wasn't locked on speaker. So by locking on active speaker and muting all the other lines that aren't for individuals that aren't participating in the speaking segment will allow you to maintain control of your meeting. Over the past few days, this last part, we just added this. There have been articles surrounding the privacy of using certain virtual meeting platforms. And the one thing that these platforms are saying is make sure you are locking your ability to share to the individuals that are presenting on that particular call. Because your call may be hijacked, make sure you're using a password so that, individuals that are logging into your call, if it's a call that you really don't want to be interrupted, adding a password can help lock that call down. But for some calls, you don't want to add a password because by adding a password, then it may be difficult or make it difficult for a variety of individuals to log into the call. So these were some of the 5-star tips that we had. But what I'd like to do is before we move forward to actually give you guys a live demonstration of what this would look like. Do you all have any questions? All right.
But thank you.
Oh man, anytime. So now what I want to do is I'm going to stop the sharing. And what we're going to do is now we're going to kind of role play what this would look like if you were working with one of your clients and trying to have a conversation with one of your clients. In the deck it's going to talk about this in more detail, but I'm going to make sure that over this next part, we're probably going to cover this within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Bianca, would you mind being my client in this situation? Unless there's a fearless volunteer in the audience, and one of you all that are attending would like to be the volunteer.
Well, I'm happy to help.
All right, Bianca. Now, can you see me in the full screen view?
I can.
All right. So in many cases, and we just had a situation like this, and people are saying, I can't work right now because, nobody wants to meet with me, and these things are so complex, and how do I share this with my client, and they're not going to understand it, and they don't know how to use technology, and there are all these different reasons. People don't have a choice. And individuals are more connected and more understanding of how to use technology now than they were 5 or 10 years ago. If the corona happened 5 or 10 years ago, using virtual meetings probably wouldn't be an option. But we're not where we were 5, 10 years ago. People are very comfortable with technology, and they've learned how to use technology because they want to talk to their grandchildren, because they want to stay connected with their friends and family. And so what we're going to do is show you what another advisor did in the New York area to close a $2 million deal. $2 million deal with a client that was 76. And he says, Charles, okay, so I know I can't, there's a lot of things that I may be limited to do. How do I get this person engaged in the conversation? How do I get them focused on one particular goal? And then once I get them there, how do I walk them through a solution? So in the next 5 to 7 minutes, we're going to show you guys how to bring in all those 3 elements we were talking about, right? Using your props, using your value add material, and then backing into an illustration. Bianca, are you ready for the 60-second close?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Bianca, most people that are focused on the retirement portion of their lives right now, they're focused on one of 2 things. They're focused on either accumulation or they're focused on income. Bianca, what's more important to you?
I'm ready to retire. I'll take income. That's what I need.
A lot of people say that, especially today. Do you want that income now, or do you want that income later?
I'd like to take it now.
A lot of people say that. Do you want it guaranteed for life?
Yes. I don't want to worry about outliving my money.
And do you want to have control or no control over the underlying cash value?
Control, absolutely.
So you want income now, guaranteed for life, and you want control?
Yes.
Bianca, there's only one thing on the face of the planet that would allow you to do that, and that's an annuity with an income rider. So now that you've nailed down, this is my simple process. Now, on future calls, or maybe you work with Bianca, she can take you through that process in more detail. This is a process that we've used for years, and it's allowed us to have a lot of success. And Bianca, if you could give me the right to share back, then I'll go ahead and do the screen share to walk you guys through the illustration.
All right.
All right, we're cooking with grease now.
All right, let me know when you get that approval.
Absolutely, I have the approval now. And I am going to open up all of these things and start sharing. And I think what this program allows me to do, it allows me to click on different things and share. Can you guys see my screen now? The will you?
We sure can.
See there? And the funny thing is, I've used a number of platforms. I've used Zoom. My home platform is WebEx. And I've done a few meetings with this particular platform, but we're cooking with grease now. So now picture this. You've talked to your client about accumulation of income. They said they want an income now, want a guarantee for life, want a control. Now, we have a value-added piece that I always keep handy, and it's a part of the Emotions in Your Money series, and it asks the question, will you outlive your retirement income? Now, I have the ability to actually annotate with this tool. So we always talked about making sure you have the ability to annotate. I'm going to do that for you. Now, Bianca, we're going to continue the conversation. Now, Bianca, you said that you want to make sure that you have income now guaranteed for life, and you want control. And a question that many of our my clients are asking is, will you outlive, or will I outlive my retirement income? And before we start talking about a solution, let's talk about, is that really a valid concern of many individuals today? And what we're seeing is that individuals today that are retiring are probably going to spend 30 years in retirement. And many clients are using their stock and bond portfolio to provide themselves with the income that they need in retirement. And for many people that are at retirement age, they're looking at a 60-40 split. Now, some have said, I should be okay if I take 4% out of that portfolio. But if they do that, they have an 80% chance of success. My question to you, Bianca, is, are you comfortable with an 80% chance of success, that you're not going to run out of money?
No.
No. And what happens when the market takes a downturn, and now what was 4% is now 5%, and now your 80% chance of success goes down to 56%. How do you feel about that?
That's a no-go.
It's a no-go. Bianca, what if we had a solution that could give you the income now guaranteed for life and give you control, but I could give you a 5% payout factor, and I can give you a 100% chance that you never have to worry about running out of money? Would that be something you'd be interested in seeing?
For sure. Thank you.
Now, what if, on top of all of those things, I could also make sure that you could get some raises? Would that be even better?
Absolutely. Everybody loves raises.
Everybody loves raises, right? So, and that's where we can come to the actual solution itself. So let me go ahead and get the eraser so I can erase some of the things that we have annotated here.